Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Adobe Live from the sofa here in the UK, where you'll find us every weekday between 12 and 1. If you're watching on YouTube, come across to behance.net/Adobe Live, because that's where everything happens. That's the conversations, the chats with the community, and of course, the ability to ask our fabulous guest any questions that you might have. And speaking of that, today's guest is the amazing Charles Carter. Charles, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thanks, Anne. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, thank you. All good. Well, everybody will be fabulously excited to see your work very shortly. But as we've been doing throughout the week this week, we're going to have a quick 2-minute tip from me on something from the latest in Creative Cloud. And today I'm in Premiere myself too. So there we are. And I've got here just a short sequence. I'm just going to scrub through that, but no soundtrack. Oh no. Now that probably means I'm going to have to go out to a website, look through loads of different sounds, then download some of those, then bring them in and try them all out. Oh no, terrible. It takes too long. Here's the good news. Now Adobe Stock has sound. Amazing. And I know loads of my friends who are so excited about this at the moment, genuinely really excited. Let me show you how it works. So I'm going to go into the audio workspace just here. So let me just move the thing down here and go to audio, because my Zoom controller is sitting on top of it. Very useful. Just there. So here I am in Essential Sound. And now you'll see here that I can browse. So normally I'd get edit if I was editing any of the channel audio, but if I go to browse, I can go to Adobe Stock and I can filter this down by different genres, moods, and some of these have different subsets inside. So you can see here like background and ambient and so on, loads and loads to look at. You can also filter things down at the bottom here. So you can filter by whether something has vocals or not. You can choose by a particular library. So Epidemic Sound here partnered for this, and also Hamendo as well also. So plenty for you to look at. Underneath, you'll see some results as waveforms just here, and you can even try them out. So if you see in my program monitor just here, and then down on my timeline, I've got the CTI, the current time indicator, over on the left. So when I preview a sound, it actually starts the timeline running. Watch this. So I can get a good idea if this is going to work. So it carries on playing out. I can see the progress through the waveform. And you know what? Just on what I've seen there, I think this is going to work really nicely. It's got exactly kind of mood and feel that I want. So I'm just going to pause that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag that into my timeline. Now, this does require, of course, an additional Adobe Stock subscription to access these. You can buy in a number of different ways. But I now get a placeholder file just here. You can see in my project panel, I've got this Adobe Stock media bin or folder added just there, which means that I haven't licensed yet, right? So if I was going to share this with somebody who wanted to see the video, they could just say, yeah, I really like that audio, and I could license it. Or they could say, audio is not exactly what I'm after, and then I could choose something else. And to license it is as easy as a right click, choose license, and then from your additional subscription, you can go ahead and license that. Once you've done it as well, if you're publishing to social media, you can actually get a license code from the licensed copy so that you won't get flagged on YouTube. Or if you do get flagged, you've got a quick response. They can track the license code and it just comes back from a server. And there you go. That's the quick tip for today. All in Essential Sound, okay, inside of Premiere, and I think in After Effects as well. So there you go, Charles. What do you reckon to that? It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it looked pretty good, man. It sounds pretty handy. I think audio and music for me is a big part of a lot of the stuff that I produce. So for me, that would it's a very handy little tool to have.
I think it's nice, all in one place. So Charles, for people who've not come across you before, do you want to give us the quick 101 on who you are and what you do? And that sort of thing?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Charles. I'm based in London. I'm a traveling videographer and photographer. I've been doing what I do now for about I think I picked up a camera in 2014 and kind of started traveling and taking pictures from there. And then that slowly developed into wanting to make videos as well. And then now it's my full-time job. So yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Cool. And I think actually Tim has got queued up a bit of your show reel. Do you mind if we just play out one of your show reels from your website?
Not at all. Go for it.
Okay, Tim, take it away. There we go. That's fab. I know kind of you were keen on just showing like maybe the first 30 seconds or so, but I think it was too good.
Thank you, I'd appreciate it.
And the community are loving it as well. So plenty of questions for me to ask you in just a while, but maybe if you take us down the route you'd like to take us. So
yeah, of course. I mean, I thought today that I would kind of run you guys through just my general workflow when it comes to, I guess, going through a video project. So a lot of Premiere Pro, some of the little tools and tips that I feel like I've picked up along the way. I've worked in a lot of places, lived in a lot of places and worked with a lot of people, and I feel like I'm a bit of a sponge and I seem to pick up some of the best things from all the people I've worked with, so I'm lucky in that way. And I think I've definitely refined my work.
Love that. By the way, people are saying, got some lovely stuff to say about your work. Really awesome, absolutely stunning. It was for Richard. It evoked. He found it was like a trailer for a BBC4 Nordic thriller.
Oh, I wish.
There's quite a bit. I bet. Yeah. But no, really enjoying it. And a couple of questions around filming your own footage, so things that we can chat about those.
Of course, yeah, I'm happy to talk about all those things.
Yeah,
for sure.
So take it away.
Of course. So yeah, I guess where do I start? For me, I think the most important thing, or one of the most important things when it comes to starting a video project is, I guess, all of the pre-work that goes in before you even start to film. And I guess a lot of that is organizing your folders and having kind of good data management. So for me, I kind of picked this up in a studio in New Zealand, actually, from a very, very talented editor. And he's sort of drilled this into my head when I was working with him that, I don't know if you guys can see my screen at all, but you need to have a really good folder setups.
You just need to
I haven't shared my screen. Oh yeah, that would,
there you go. That's all right.
Definitely help. One moment. Let me figure out how to do that.
So you should have the small green share screen thing.
Share screen.
Actually, yeah, I can mention the Discord while you're doing that. Don't forget, everybody, that the conversation doesn't have to end with the end of the stream. Join us on our Discord, where we can carry on talking all day and all night. There you go. Fab. Right, Charles, you all set?
Yeah, we're all set. So, so for me, what I like to do actually is I have a project template that I've set up in Premiere. So that's just a blank template, and I use that for every single video project that I run. So what I do in that is I've actually got it open here, and if you can see on the left here, I have 6 bins set up. Yep. Assets, audio, footage, masters, motion graphics, and sequences, and all of my projects will involve assets in that form. So you can see they're all empty except for the VFX. So that's got quite a few assets that I use across a lot of projects. So just some kind of like overlays there, some light leaks, some transitions, and then I also have some audio as well. So I have music and like a sound effects bin, and these are things that I'll be using across a lot of my projects recently. I've been creating a lot of kind of short 10 to 15 second clips from a lot of the drone footage that you've just seen, and kind of adding a lot of sound effects and just really tweaking the audio on it. So that's coming really useful. But yeah, so I have that set up, and whenever I want to start a project, which we'll do now, I'll actually just save it as a new project. So I'll go into save as. It's going to load. Bear with me. And then I will save that. So I've got a test folder here, which I'm going to save everything in.
Yep.
Test folder. And I'll just create a new folder, and I'll name it project. And again, this comes in quite handy for me as well. Just something that I didn't do until the last year or so is that I number all of my projects, and then I'll add that number and project into every single asset to do with that project.
That's a wise way to work. Organization's key, right?
100%. And that just means that if I need to find something, so say I go into Audition and I make a mix down for the project, and that I can just type in the number and it will come straight up. Any Photoshop assets or After Effects assets, it's all together in one place. So really makes it helpful. So I'll just name that test project 1 and create that. And then within that, I would recreate. Bring up Premiere. I'm in Premiere, that's awkward. I would recreate these bins along here. So all of the assets, all my footage would go into that folder, and that could then be brought straight into the project. So I've got, that should be in there. I've got my footage here. So then everything's sort of kept in one place. And if I download any assets from a client, that will then go into the assets folder. Should have probably made these ahead of time. But everything's in one place. And again, that's something that's really useful, because if down the line in like a few months, a few weeks, or a few years, I need to come back and make any tweaks, or I want to pick the project up, again, it makes it just so much easier. So everything's in one folder. It's all going to be backed up somewhere together as well, and I can just kind of pick it up and go from where I left it off, as opposed to previously when I might have not done that, and I'd go back and be like, man, I really want to work on that old project. And I'd be missing files and things.
Finding, locating everything,
Oh man, the bane of my life. So
strewn across drives, no idea.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'm currently in the process of backing up probably like 3 or 4 different hard drives and putting them all into one location. So that's a project I'm working on at the moment. But yeah, it's really helpful just to have it all in kind of one place and accessible from one drive. So that's a big tip.
Very
but yeah, so for that, I have that project set up, and once I've got it saved, another thing that I find really important, again, just to keep everything in one place, is on my scratch discs. If I can find out where I keep that. 6 seconds. Oh, I feel like it's moved. But I would set up all of my scratch discs again to go into that same folder, and I just call it Premiere Assets. So then all of my renders, audio and video, any auto saves, that again is all going into there. Whereas previously I didn't do that, and they'd kind of again just be strewn all across my PC or MacBook in like various places, and who knows what they're building up and doing. So that's really useful.
Do you keep a nice clean media cache? Do you keep all of that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. That gets refreshed quite often. So yeah, that's good. But yeah, so I've got my project, my project template set up. I've sort of saved it as a new project, so I've still got the template there to use again. And then I'd import my footage, which I should be able to do here. project.
Your drone's caught a lot of attention. People are asking a lot about the drone, and I think somebody's tracked it down and thinks it's a DJI. Is it?
It is a DJI. I'd be impressed if they can guess which one it is, though.
Is it the new Phantom?
It's actually not. No, it's just a Mavic Air. It's the Mavic Air, which is super handy. I just stick it in my pocket and go in my backpack.
Oh, that's the little one that folds up, right? Isn't it?
Tiny
Folds
one,
into a box.
really good.
Yeah. Wow.
Although it'd be sad to know that it's no longer with me. It's somewhere in a tree in New Zealand where it's been left to fend for itself, sadly.
Oh, no.
Very sad day for me.
I actually know a guy who in Iceland tested some out for DJI, and he dropped one of them down a volcano.
Oh, wow. That definitely beats a tree in New Zealand, I think. He's probably topped the list there. Dropped it down a volcano.
Well, he went in to do some footage from across the top, but the heat, of course, just...
Right, yeah. I mean, they're pretty hardy things, you know. I've had it. I mean, it's sort of shots. It was flying through, not through a waterfall, but quite down a waterfall ravine in like pretty cold temperatures, and it survived some pretty intense things. And then it went and died in a tree in New Zealand. So it was
no defense against the tree.
Can't beat a tree.
No, that's it. Tree wins.
So I've got some test footage here that I'm going to import. Some lovely little drone shots. Actually, just made a few little selections, and so we'll let those import. And I'm just going to run through, I guess, the process that, again, I use when setting up my project. It's quite difficult here because the drone doesn't like to film everything at the same frame rate. It sometimes struggles to hit that 60 frames per second. So you can see there it's got a bit of a random spread. But normally, the first thing I would do with my footage actually is modify it all to sort of match the same frame rate.
Yep.
And if I've shot it in a higher frame rate to then slow it down later, I'll kind of modify it to go to 25 or 30 frames per second so it plays back at the speed that I want it to. So this is quite good. So I'll just go into modify and interpret footage and then assume this frame rate. And because that's 60 frames per second or as close as we're going to get, or just for the sake of this project, put it to 30 frames per second. And in fact, before I do that, I'll show you what it would play at normally. So again, I'm just going to create a new sequence. Forget how to use it. There we go. Real quick. To digital SLR, 1080p, and then we'll set that at 30 frames per second, and we'll just call it test sequence.
Yep.
Okay. Alright, so I've got my sequence down here now, and I'll put that into the masters folder, and I'll talk about that in a little bit later as well, because that's something that I found quite useful, is the way I kind of manage my sequences, because we'll talk about it in a moment. But I'll show you, I'll drag and drop this in here. Settings. And we'll play a segment of this back. And it should play back at normal speed, but at 60 frames per second. So you can see there it's just playing at the speed it was shot at. If it plays, and you might need to render. But then once I go through and modify this footage, that's it. If I drag that in there now, you can see it's much longer. It's doubled the length, and it's going to play back at a much slower speed. Not that we really need that. And then in most cases, which might seem a bit weird, I'll actually just play that back at double speed. So then it's probably quite a lot.
60.
So it's at 20. It's at 30 frames per second. So it's at 30 frames per second, which is what I want all the footage to be. Because if I've shot on my DSLR as well, that would be shooting at 30 frames per second. So I'm going to be combining, in a lot of cases, media from my drone and from my camera and from maybe someone else's camera as well. So I want everything to kind of be matched up in the timeline just for the sake of everything to run smoothly. So even though I've sort of put it back to run at normal time, in the timeline it's kind of all matching up for me, which is what I want. So now I've done that, I've got all my footage. In a much larger project, this would take a lot longer, but I'll actually create sequences or a selects timeline. So we'll change this to test selects. What I'll do is I'll name it master in all caps. This is again something that was sort of drilled into my head out in New Zealand.
You had a good teacher.
I did have a very good teacher. Yeah, he's a very, very talented guy. And this is the thing. I've only worked with at least under a few editors. So before then, it was kind of just me figuring out along the way. I didn't go to film school or anything like that. Everything I've learned has been self-taught, kind of YouTube tutorials and just through people I meet. So I had no idea what the kind of norm for setting up a project and running for an edit sequence was. It was kind of just like, oh, this looks all right, I'll do this. We'll carry on this way until someone tells me off.
But retrospectively now, do you look back and think, wow, I wasted so much time?
if I tell you, so when I first started shooting YouTube videos, I've always used Premiere, like from the start, but I had no idea how to use it, obviously. And I actually had, there would have been, I would say, closing in on 100 YouTube videos edited and set up all in one Premiere project.
Right, okay.
So I didn't just, whereas now obviously I will create a new project for every video I film and edit. Because before I would have just had that one project running and it was just getting so slow over time. Because there would have been like so much footage in there, so many assets, and that would have been an absolute nightmare to look back on. So yeah, I'm glad I kind of stopped doing that.
It's organisation, I think, is key. And it's difficult sometimes for creative people to kind of do that. If you looked at my desk like right now, I'd never show you my desk because but when I'm working on something, I know that organisation, otherwise, it's my own time and money that I'm wasting.
Oh, 100%. And that's at the end of the day, I think that your time is your money when you work for yourself as a freelancer. Absolutely. You're not getting paid extra money for spending 3 hours trying to find a file on your hard drive,
Yeah, difficult to get that one by, I think, on the
board. just a little bit extra in the invoice if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So where was I? Test plates. What was I saying? Hang on.
So you just got your sequence, your test sequence master.
Yeah. So the reason I named it master is that is for me the most up-to-date version of that sequence, and anything. It will make more sense once I have the main edit master up. But any tweaks that I want to make or changes, I'll simply, in fact, we'll go through the selects and I'll go into that. So when I'm making selects, I have quite a specific way of doing it as well. And something that I find really useful in Premiere is you can color grade your clips in the timeline. Yep. So I've actually got this set up to a custom keyboard setting, which is something else I'd like to talk about. So so many little things I need to
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Cover.
Got the time and everybody's enjoying it, so it's all good.
I'll do this real quickly. So I've got to my numbers. Each number on my keyboard is a different color. And so
Smart.
It will make more sense if I showed you a project like this, where I've kind of used it, but I've also kind of gone back and taken it out. But this is a project or a client job where I have a few different shots. I have a few close-ups, I have a few wides, and I have all one product. But I know that the client, because I do, it's a kind of a repeat client, so I know they want X amount of shots of each thing in the video. Yep. So when I'm going through my selects, for this example, we've got like 5 different drone shots. I will just, for the sake of simplicity, color each one separately. So I've got blue, got that, and we've got that. And then once I've trimmed these down, wherever they go in my project, I'll know what that clip is and where it's from, so I can really organize it quickly. Cool. And I can just sort of know what I'm doing. Whereas if it's a bigger project, I say I have like a YouTube video, for example, that I'm editing, which I should have a project open. Yeah. So I know, for example, I've got an intro that I'll do for every video. I'll have a main segment, which say I'm doing a tips video, like say 5 tips for Premiere Pro. I have each bit of footage for each clip that will be colored differently. And then I'll have my outro and sort of like the end card. And again, that's all colored differently. So when it comes to organizing, like we said, organization is key. And it just saves me so much time in projects from, oh man, I need a clip of this to go here. Where can I find that? I'll just go to my selects sequence and I'll be able to drag it straight from there. Like, okay, cool. I can look through this certain color coded footage and know what I need to drag in.
Yes.
So yeah, once I've kind of done that, before I go on, actually, something I wanted to talk about before was with the project, having a template project, another benefit of that is that you can obviously customize all of your settings within that project and have those carried over to every further on project that you do down the line. So I have a custom keyboard setup that I use for all of my edits, and that's carried across. So I'll actually go into that quickly, because again, it's something that I think it's all about streamlining when you're editing and working for yourself, like we said. So having your own keyboard setup, just going to keyboard shortcuts here, it's not too different from the normal setup. Like that, some tips that I found really helpful that I picked up from a friend over in Canada. So I've got my ripple trim set up here to Q and W, and then I've got my add edit tool set to X. So for the most of the select process and sort of trimming down, they're the 3 keys that I'll use. So ripple trim, if you don't know what it does, it will add a cut either to the start or the end of the clip, and it'll automatically ripple delete the gap. So you don't, whereas before I would spend so much time dragging the clips, taking them in and out, and then kind of filling the gaps in myself. And that was, I mean, I don't even know how many minutes that adds to a project, but it's a fair few. And add edit, that just sort of adds a cut wherever the timeline marker is. So that's really useful as well. And then a few others I've got here, like the slip tool, the roll and edit tool, and the rate stretch, all on ER and T. I might have just changed that. But they're just really useful for manipulating clip lengths and sort of stretching things how you want to go and sliding the playheads up and down. So it's really useful to find out what works best for you. I mean, you don't have to copy that, obviously, whatever you find the best, but it's good to have your own keyboard set up and sort of figure that out for yourself. And obviously you can see it on the top as well. I've got all of the different color coding setups there too.
I so wish other applications, like non-DVA applications, would implement this kind of keyboard map view in their preferences to set things. I think it would be
so useful. It's honestly such an amazing feature. I love it. It's great. And then you can see at the top as well, you can save your setups. I have a few different ones there. And obviously once that's saved, you can sort of select. So if I wanted to say I had a different setup for something else, I could do that. But that's the main one for me. And then another feature that's great from having the template project set up is you can see here I've got a custom you call it a workshop?
Workspace.
A custom workspace set up. So for me, this is how I found myself sort of manipulating the workspace to look every time I was doing an edit. And again, it's just those few, like that minute or two at the start of every project that I don't have to spend rearranging my workspace to being the most beneficial for me. So I think you can edit workspaces here. Obviously I've got everything set up there. So again, something that if you find yourself manipulating your workspace in a certain way every time you use it, save it and have it set up along the top.
It takes 2 minutes, right?
It takes 2 minutes, it really does. And then again, I've got kind of all my like windows set up here that I use a lot. Instead of having to go between color and effects and graphics, I can just sort of reach the main ones here. And then one last thing that again is part of my project template is a little favorites folder for effects, which again is just a massive time saver. And I think this is going to be a major theme of what I talk about, is just saving time here. And I've just got got my warp stabilizer there, my transform, and then some audio transitions as well. And just the things that I'll be using a lot, obviously warp stabilizer, big fan of that. I've got shaky hands. Saved many a project for me. But yeah, so that's kind of my custom setup that I use at every project, and it's just customize what you've got basically, and use the features in Premiere to your benefits, because that's what they're there for.
Make it work for you. That's the thing, right?
Exactly. So yeah, now I've got kind of my footage in the timeline. Normally I would go through and I would trim down to select clips. So whilst you can see here, this is what this clip's probably a few minutes long. It's I need to edit that, so I can go to controls. There we go, and I'll scale that down so it's shot. I think that's shot in. So this is a sunset over the Matterhorn in Switzerland. But I did a few runs of it on the drone, so I don't need the same shot 4 times in a project. So what I would do is I would run through that. I haven't rendered it, so it's not going to be the smoothest playback. And say I'd want it to start there, I just hit Q. You see it just cuts to start off, ripples it back straight away. And then I'll find the end of that shot. Let's just say, for the sake of it, it's there. Hit X, and then I know I've got one run through of that shot there, and then I'll do that again. There's going to be sort of filler space in between shots that I'm never going to use, so I'd cut out the filler space. Again, this is not going to be correct, but we'll go with it. And then I'll hit X. If I wanted to get rid of everything in the end, I just hit W. Then we've got those two different selects to go for the shot of the Matterhorn to put into the video. Now I'll do that again for each other tip, because there's going to be a few different shots or takes, I guess, of each thing. So then let me just kind of see if I can grab a shot of this.
Angus is asking, is there an Adobe keyboard map available similar to Charles's version? You can probably find a couple of things. I mean, essentially, keyboard maps are a text file that goes with as part of the product. So you probably could find one. Have a look inside your preferences and see what's offering there. But they're easy to make. Your own are easy, really easy to make.
If you want, I can you can screenshot mine and sort of just add yours.
Yeah, there you go. So watch the replay, Angus. Screenshot that one and work to that.
I mean, yeah, that should work.
Yeah.
So let me. Probably should have pre-rendered this footage. It's my bad. Shot there. Let's put that down. So let's just say, for the sake, these are the shots that I want to use, because we're not going to sit here and edit clips down with me for another half an hour. I'm sure you guys would rather watch something else.
They're enjoying it so far. Still talking about drones.
You guys are making me sad. You're making me miss my drone.
Oh.
So we'll go back.
And people are just asking if I can have an extra hour with you.
I mean, I'll happily come back if you guys want me.
I think we'll have to have you back, I think.
So we've got our test selects. So let's say, for the sake of this stream, that we've made all the selects.
Yeah.
Next time I'll have to pre-render these clips in advance. Come more prepared.
It's all good, don't worry.
And then, so I've got my selects, and then what I'll do is I'll simply duplicate that sequence, and then I'll change its name to, I mean, if it's a different project, but for this, we'll just go for main, edit, master. And then this is where I will do the majority of the work on the edit in this sort of sequence here.
Yeah.
So we'll just open that up. But I'll always have that test selects, or the selects sequence there. Say I come back and I've done half the work, and man, I really wish I didn't have that shot. I need another shot, and I can go back to the selects timeline and see everything I've got to go with this to work from, and say, okay, is there a better shot that I maybe didn't see? So it's good to have that. You don't want to sort of have to be going through your footage bins and be like, what's this footage of? What's this clip of? Do I want to open that and scroll through it? It's easy to okay, cool. It's all here. It's all rendered.
Yep.
If you think ahead, and I can just scrub through it and cool, that's what I need. So again, just more time-saving tips, I guess.
I've got to ask: are you a proxy guy? Do you on a real project where you've got a lot of big footage? Do you use proxy workflows?
Not until my good friend Richard in New Zealand brought me into that workflow. Yeah, again.
Right. Okay.
I knew of them and I knew what they were for, but I'd never really had a specific need for them. A lot of the stuff I was shooting was in 1080p, and I guess the system I was working on could handle that pretty well. But then when you're working with clients and they want 4K and up, you really do need to run proxies. And I think Adobe Encoder is just an absolute lifesaver, which is something I did want to cover. It's on the to-do list. But yeah, proxies are amazing. It's again another time-saving tip. I wouldn't sound the biggest expert on them, but I have used them in projects. And I mean, for this footage like this, which is above 1080p, I probably would try and render some proxies in, but we won't do it on this MacBook because it'll probably blow up and take off into space. It's done it before.
People are asking. In fact, Stuart's. I think it's Stuart saying no. Robert is saying, please come back like your drone didn't. Unfortunately, we've got a great crowd here. Honestly,
thanks so much. The worst thing about that whole scenario was, I could see the drone in the tree and we could nearly reach it, but we had to leave. We had 10 minutes to try and get out the tree before we had to leave for the next location, and I just had to say goodbye to it and drive off on a bus. And I never saw it again. That was the worst thing. if we had another half an hour, I could have maybe got it back, but it just didn't happen.
Oh, oh dear. Yeah, people are also, I mean, you haven't even wrapped up for today yet, but people are asking for you back already, which is always good news, right?
Yeah,
really,
thank
really
you
good.
guys.
Other than drones, what cameras do you use? Gareth is asking. So, what?
I mean, so actually, something that I'm quite interested in is, I mean, nowadays you hear a lot that people really want to shoot on the best kit, and you think they need the most expensive drones, the most expensive cameras to make like amazing footage. But I think for the first probably 3+ years of my career as a video maker and photographer, I was using a really old Canon 60D, which is, I think that came out in 2014, 13.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was shooting on that. I did upgrade to a 5D Mark IV, so I'm a Canon boy. Sorry if anyone's Sony or Fuji.
I think it's a Canon a week, actually. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I go with what I know. So I've got a Canon 5D Mark IV and like a few different lenses. But it's always done the job for me, you know. I mean, when I worked out in New Zealand at the studio, we had Sony FS. I think it was 500. Forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. I'm not like super up to date on my technology, but that was just more of a cine camera. I think it's shot in 4K and it's shot in RAW. So that was kind of for the bigger jobs. Cool. But yeah, for the most part, everything you've seen is shot on my reel anyway, was shot on a 5D or a Mavic Air. So yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I've just remembered, by the way, Ron, who we had in on Monday, Ron Timmerhern, a photographer. Yeah. And that's the first time I managed to say his name properly for some reason. But he was an ex-Canon person thinking about it. He had gone on to Sony. I did the same actually.
Oh really? What do you use?
A7R3.
Nice.
Mirrorless, full frame, so just a whole different experience.
100%. Yeah, I mean, going from the old 60D, which was cropped sensor, to the 5D was just a whole new level of wow. It fits so much more into my brain. Absolutely.
Kirsty uses Panasonic. I've got a Panasonic too, actually. Big full video camera somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll say somewhere. I know exactly where it is. It's in our storage unit over there. But yeah. You've got other Canon people here as well. So Gareth's the Canon kid.
Canon gang.
So so there we go. There we are.
Nice. It's a good little mix.
I'm very impressed with your teacher's work on getting you lined up. It's really good.
Yeah. No, he did do a good job. That was first day in the studio. He was like, right, we're going to drill these into your head. And he's like, and I think again, it just kind of like it lines up well, because when you are handing projects over to other people, and when it's not just you working on a project at home for yourself, you really do need to have things set up and organized in a simple and easy to understand way. And everything just needs to line up across the board, you know. So if I tried sending one of those Premiere files from back in the day when I first started shooting YouTube videos, I think they'd probably have a heart attack. So yeah.
It's always good when you can visit your former self in your mind and give yourself a quick, this is what you were doing.
Come so far, it's so great. And it's still a long way to go, I'm sure. I mean, I'm definitely never, I'd say never stop learning. I mean, I'm always trying to improve and like pick up a new thing. So it's good to work.
But that's good, right? And I think as long as you hold on to that, you'll keep, you know, that's I think how people make great work. It's when they stop and think, no, this is my formula, I've got that sorted now, and they never look anywhere else. I think that's when you risk stagnation.
Exactly,
and then you become less relevant as it goes on. So it's good.
I think the best way to learn, I mean, for me personally, is to just work with other people and sort of peer over the shoulder, like, okay, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And have them
never be afraid to ask.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so back to main edits. Yeah, so main edit sequence here. If I was working on a larger project, say, I mean, we can go to this project here, which is for a client. So this client here, a day shoot with them would typically consist of a few different food products. and for each product they have I guess the exports would be one landscape and one portrait video of each product. So you can see on the left here, it's going to be quite a complicated project to run through. I've got, footage alone, you can see here I've organized it all. I've got each product's footage, and then I've got, okay, it's just a raw footage in there. I was going to say,
it's still organized.
It's still organized, yeah.
You
there was a time when I'd run through and log each clip as well. That was a very OCD time in my life. I don't know if I need that quite as much anymore, but you can change the file names in Premiere if that's something you're into, and sort of say what it is, and if it's a wide shot or a close-up. But in this instance, we didn't need that. Yeah, I've got all my footage from each product, and then my masters folders are here. So you can see everything that is the most up-to-date sequence for each product is here. So we've got landscape and portrait masters, and then we've got each one. I hope I've done my job here and kept it all organized. I have. Good, pat myself on the back. It'd be awkward if I hadn't. But yeah, and you can see, if I go into sequences here, my sequences bin, I've got an archive bin. This isn't quite as organized because it's just where I track everything. Yeah. But I've got sequences called aeromin backup 1. And in some cases of projects, I'll have backup 2, backup 3, backup 4. And what I've done there is anytime I need to make a major change to a sequence or a timeline that I'm thinking, I might regret this, or it's a revision and I think I want to be able to go back on this if I need to, what I will do is, let me go back into the test project. Where is it? Test project. What did I do with my test project? Hold on.
It was in the other sequence along the bottom, wasn't it?
Where have I saved it? Did I just make it? Oh, you know what I've done here? It didn't say it didn't save when I'd saved it, so I'm actually working on my project template, so I'm going to have to go back and fix this later. But
right, okay.
Oh dear. What we'll do is, so say if I want to make a change, I'll simply duplicate the master. I'll have my copy here, and then change the name of it from master to backup 1. And then I'll just drag and drop that into the sequences bin, have that in the archive bin. So down the line, so if I've made like a bunch of edits to this sequence and I've come a long way down and I think, oh man, I made that change, the client doesn't like it, they want to go back, instead of being like, wait, what did I do? Do I have an old save? I can just be like, no, it doesn't matter. I can just go to the main edit, backup 1, and just change that to the master and just revert back to the old file. And it just, again, that's something I had to pick up along the way, the hard way. I had to learn, because there have been cases where I've spent hours making a revision for a client, not backed up the sequence, and they'd be like, actually, can we go back to the old thing? And I'm just like, that's nothing to do.
There you are.
To invoice for. So
the tip fairy, by the way, has just spoken in my ear and said that the new productions panel in Premiere might be something that you want to investigate at some point for organising your stuff. So have a look at that.
I'll make a note.
Add another level of organisation.
I love organisation.
Thank you, Tip Fairy, in my ear. That was really helpful.
I haven't seen that yet. I'll have to check that out. There's always new things coming into Premiere that never failed to amaze me. I think there was a recent add-on that you guys made that I was thinking, man, that's good. And I don't remember what it was, so I didn't make a note of it. But yeah, if I remember, I'll bring it up.
So much. It's
yeah.
Good.
There's probably hundreds of tips hundreds of features that I don't know about that I'm sure would help my my timeline, my editing process. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, we're all learning. We're all continually learning. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, Julia's saying you've got a great mindset. Hi, Julia, by the way. There's a couple of things about the tip fairy that I just mentioned. It's the Tim Merbest tip fairy. That's the one that helps me out. So, there we are. But and that's his new name. He's just got that. We also call him Tim Say as well. But yeah, no, it's good. No, carry on. Everybody's loving it. They're nerding out. Awesome. Totally.
I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. I could talk for hours. So right.
Well, this is good.
So where I'm up to, I'm creating my master sequence. So I'm going to bring in another feature here that is something that I really enjoy. So we'll go into a YouTube video that I shot recently. So when I'm going through my main edit, I do again have a certain workflow that I like to run through. So you see me import my footage, make my selects timeline, cut all of those selects down, create the main edit master. And then when I've done that, I start to organize my clips how I'd like them to look. So I mean, for the sake of this, we'll put, say I want to make a 15-second clip of this. So something that I really find useful to do is to use the in and out feature. So I've got that on my keyboard set to I and O.
Yep.
So we'll put the I here and we'll put the O here.
Yep.
And you can see, I think it's on the right there, that tells you the time. I think you can manually do it, maybe.
I think you can do it on the left-hand side, can't you? Is it? Oh no, that's the CTI.
Yeah. So
on the left-hand side, yeah.
Although that is actually, you can do the time, the playhead. So then you can just do 15 seconds.
Yeah. And then just tap O on there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just 15 seconds. Yeah. And then that for me is just a visual indication of how much footage I can use and how much I need to cut things down. So let's just do a quick clip. I don't know what to do.
That's a neat tip.
Yeah,
that's a neat tip. I like that.
Yeah, it's good, and I use it a lot. I mean, for that food client, they always want their clips to be 15 seconds. So I'll always, once I've got my selects made and I've got the footage in the time I need, I'll do that, and then I just cut and trim down to fit within the in and out bar, which is so helpful. So yeah, let's say we're going to use this clip here, right there. Oh, press the wrong button there. That's E. And you can see how quickly I can do all of this just because the keyboard layout is just super easy. I mean, normally I'd look through the footage and see what I'm actually doing.
Yeah.
But they put that last little clip in there. We'll go to that. Just put that there and then snap that to the end. Cool. So this is going to be the final product here. I've got my first run through of what the cut's going to look like, and then the next step for me would be, in fact, I'll probably bring in some audio. I have open here. Let's go to my template, which I'm going to have to fix later.
Don't worry. Sorry.
And then let's drag and drop this audio here. So this clip, really cool actually. A friend of mine in Iceland kind of produced it for me, and as soon as she sent it to me, I said, I know exactly what I want to make of this. So I've actually used this this clip before. You're gonna let me?
I love making stuff in Iceland.
Yeah. It's a beautiful place, man.
Place. Oh yeah.
Let's try some different. Let's go.
Stuart's just asking, so what is the in and out? Is it a field of working? Well, okay, I guess I'll just do this while Charles is busy locating that media. In the way that Charles is using it there, kind of, it could be. Essentially, though, it's 2 points at which you might want to make an edit. So if you actually wanted to trim a chunk out of something, you could set an in point and an out point and then lift the contents between the in and out point out and have the other clips joined together afterwards. So it could be a couple of things, but the way Charles is using it, never occurred to me to do that, never occurred to me to do that. It's super smart. So thanks for that.
I mean, another way I do it sometimes, or would do it if that's not possible, is as well, you can drag an adjustment layer into the timeline, and I think that's probably another way to do it.
Set the time on that. Yeah, that's a good way.
Yeah. So it's just visual. For me, I'm a very visual person, so the visual markers really help. But yeah, so I brought this in, and I'll just drag and drop that under there. So I normally go, I mean, a lot of the times I'll actually have my audio in first and sort of do my audio first, because more often than not, it will be a music clip or a sound I hear that kind of inspires me to think, oh, there's a video clip I have that would go perfectly with that somewhere in my archive, and I really want to put the two together. So I'll kind of bring that in and find the footage and match it all up. Okay. But let's just drag.
I thought I sensed a bit of remix coming on then, but
we could do that. I think actually that's something that I use a lot too.
Yeah.
Especially for, so we can go into So here, so with the, let's go to main. Got so many main edit masters open here. So this here, this YouTube video, for example, was oh, it was only short actually, 3 minutes long. But I have a video clip, sorry, a music clip here that say it wasn't the right length. So it was only a minute long. I could remix it in Audition. And I use this a lot. I can sometimes shorten clips if I don't have a segment of a clip that I want to use, or I have just a segment that I do want to use. I can isolate it, and then you can open it in Adobe Audition. Do this in the test project. But
I'm sorry, I'm adding the extra tax on your machine.
Yeah,
at the time we've got around about 9 or 10 minutes of natural time. But by the way, we're perfectly okay to go over by 5 or 10 minutes if you need to, Charles.
No worries.
And just while this is loading up, don't forget, everybody, the conversation doesn't have to end when the stream ends. When it's all over for your eyes, your rest of your mind can enjoy our Discord. Come along and chat with the community. It's great to see how things are developing there, people sharing work, all sorts. And Tim has just posted the link into the chat. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you're thinking, but I can't see the chat, come along and join us on behance.net/Adobe Live. There you go. Right, so remix.
So yeah, so here's what we're going to do. Actually, we're going to use this audio here.
Yep.
Edit clip in Adobe Audition.
Yep.
So what that does is it opens Adobe Audition, which is a really useful tool for sort of editing audio, especially for video projects. So you can see here I've got the clip, and I'll create a multi-track. Let's just say I don't remember what I didn't save it, did I? Let's just call it test project 1. For the session. So again, I should have set this up ahead of time, but I'd normally have an audio folder.
Oh, well, I kind of threw this one at you actually, so you can blame me.
And I'll save it in the audio folder.
Yeah.
And then we've got the multi-track set up. Like I'll be honest, I'm not an expert with Audition, but I know how to use it to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
So I drag that into here, and you can see I've got the audio clip loaded in, and it's at just over a minute. So if I say I wanted to have it at 2 minutes, I could.
Just need the effects on the other side, I think, rather than the essentials, don't you, for that?
Normally you can do that. Yeah, I normally do the duration
do it
here.
there. Yeah.
And then you can sort of edit it here. Probably do it over there actually, just for the sake of. Just got to analyze the clip quickly.
Yeah, it's so cool, this feature.
Yeah, it's honestly, I remember
so cool
finding out about this and just being like, wow, okay, mind blown. Let's use this. So you can remix the clip, or you can stretch it. And stretching obviously is just gonna affect the pitch of the clip and sort of slow it up or speed it down. Slow it down or speed it up. But if you remix, then I believe Audition kind of analyzes the track and sort of produces a new one, I guess you could say.
It does, yeah. It just takes out repeatable chunks inside of it and brings it all together. And you actually see the edits as like a wavy line. So cool.
It's magic.
It is really, it's like total witchcraft. It's just unreal. Siobhan is asking, by the way, does your work always have a story to it?
It depends. If it's something that I'm creating for myself, or I have a lot of creative freedom with, then I like to try and inject some sort of narrative to it. Something that I'm actually focusing on at the moment is creating more narrative content, visual narratives. I'm writing some. I'm working on a screenplay actually, which is something I really want to do, is make a couple of short films. I mean, I have an abundance of ideas, and I've just kind of been sitting there for a while now. So I'm trying to work on bringing more storyline into it. So yes and no, to give you an answer to that question.
Right, we're ready for remix, I think. We're all good.
So you can see here I've just set the target time to 2 minutes. And then we just click, and it's done that so quickly. You can see here it's giving me, how long does it take? 2 minutes and 2 seconds. So it's not always perfect, but it's close enough. And you can always trim down.
You've got some tail off at the end there anyway.
Yeah, exactly,
so
right.
Soak that up. Yeah.
There's so much, there's so many options you can do. We won't go into too much detail. But once I've done that, I've got my 2 minute clip there. And we can play it back for you guys be able to hear it. If it's too loud, let me know.
Yeah, I don't think it's coming through for us as a source, but but where you're seeing the wavy lines, folks, that's basically where the edits have occurred. And in 99.9% of the cases I've ever used this in, I don't know about you, Charles, it's worked flawlessly.
Yeah,
it's really hard to detect the gap.
It's so good.
And I mean, it's just great.
Yeah. Beforehand, you'd be sort of playing around with the audio clip for could be hours in Premiere, trying to be like get that perfect little cut and like jiggle things around, and this just sort of takes all of that away.
Doesn't miss a beat, literally.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
So then you can export the mix down. This folder, audio, export that back there.
So Steve is saying it's like content-aware fill for audio. It is content-aware fill.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And Steve, I've got to tell you, I actually, at an Adobe thing once, I called myself content-aware fill, spelled exactly that way.
So then I just drag that back into the timeline, and then I've got, I mean, I don't think that's a 2-minute clip there. I'm not going to bother it.
Yeah, don't worry. It's that
but you guys get the idea. Yeah. So yeah, that's a pretty useful tool, and I use that on so many projects, even if it's because sometimes again I'll hear a piece of music, and in the past I've used the first 5 seconds of a track and just used Audition to sort of boost it to 10 or 15 seconds and just loop it over for me, and it's just saved me so much time. Like, it really is such a useful tool, and it fits in with Premiere flawlessly, so it's great. But yeah. So once I've kind of got my audio, I mean, in a normal case, I would probably add some sound effects, maybe like some birds, some wind, just whatever matches up with the screen, just to kind of bring that extra layer of depth. And I mean, sound for me is such a big part of any video projects that I work on, because it really does. I mean, it's, what do they say? It's 50% sound, 50% video for a project, or maybe even more, I think. Yeah. But yeah, so I've done that. So I've got my clips edited down. I've got my audio added in. Something that I wanted to show you guys real quick before we run out of time, that for me is super useful anyway, is the CC library, which is something that I've been using more and more as the months go by. This edit here, so handy. So handy. So for a YouTube video like this, you can see I've got a few assets on screen. I've got my Instagram handle here. I've got an Instagram logo. I don't even have an intro. Do I have an intro on this one? No, but I have an end card that I've put together. So you can see I've got all of that there. Yeah. And a lot of that, I don't know if I have it set up in this workspace. Let's just go to libraries. You can have it pop up in the corner as a little thing, but you can see here. Throughout your window. So normally, what I've got here is actually I've imported all of my assets that I use over and over again. This just goes back to sort of pre-production, I guess, on any video projects and setting things up to make them easy for you. I've got a few different folders. I've got some shapes and colors that I use a lot. So I've got like a color palette that I'll use for any fonts. I've got like the little hex codes in there, which is really great because you want everything to sort of be uniform across the same brand. That's really helpful to use. And then I've got my logos. I've got like social media logos. I've got some of the Adobe logos in there, which probably need to be updated now, looking at the bottom of my toolbar.
They do, yeah.
So thanks for that, guys. But yeah, so if I wanted to use that in a video, it's as simple as just dragging and dropping it into the sequence. And it's so handy because before I'd have to go find the assets folder, import it into the project, drag and go from there. Whereas now it's just, let me show you in the test project actually. It's going to be tough. I need to open
even your libraries are well organized. That's amazing. Those are the most organized libraries I've ever seen a guest use.
I try my best. Thank you.
You're doing really well, really well.
So yeah, I'll just show you guys quickly, just dragging and dropping that in. So say I want to put an Instagram logo on the bottom. If you see that, I can just drag it from there and it instantly becomes an asset. Oh, I've cut the footage out. Let's not do that. Yeah, and then it should be, well, it's not where I want it to be, but you can see that's it. It's now part of the sequence.
Yeah. But I mean, that's easy enough to control in the panel anyway. They're really, really, really good. By the way, Tim was probably as I speak, doing two things. He's probably popping the Discord into the chat and also all of your social links. So go ahead and visit all of Charles's different things. I think it's pretty much across the board. It's Wondergasm, right? It's,
everywhere.
Yeah. And I think we'll have to have you back at some point for a bit of a masterclass. I think it'd be great.
I'd love to do that for sure.
Yeah, I think though for now though we're pretty much at the end of natural time. Have you got anything else you want to add before we close out? Any words for anybody? Or
off the top of my head, no. I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me talk about my workflow. I hope I was able to help you guys pick up some little tips and some features that you might not have known about. I appreciate you guys watching and listening to me. Thanks a lot.
They've really loved it. Really loved it. I've really enjoyed having you. It's been really, really fantastic. Yeah. So again, everybody, don't forget, we are here every day, every weekday at least, between 12 and 1. Tomorrow, we have on Eric Reichbaum tomorrow. Actually, there we go. So Eric Reichbaum with us tomorrow. Do come along to the Discord as well so we can carry on the chat. And it's really lovely to see people chatting right the way through the day and the night, because we have so many people from other time zones with us today as well, Charles. So it's fantastic. But for now, from Charles and myself, it's cheerio. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay safe, stay creative. See you later.
Thanks, guys.